Welcome to 50 Philosophies in 60 Minutes. Over the next hour, we'll journey through the vast landscape of human thought, from ancient wisdom traditions to modern theories. Our goal isn't to make you an expert in each system, but to spark curiosity and give you a taste of the ideas that have shaped civilizations, challenged assumptions, and inspired revolutions. Philosophy asks life's biggest questions. What is real? How should we live? What does it mean to be happy or good? Each philosophy we'll explore offers unique answers, and sometimes more questions. Whether you're new to philosophy or a seasoned thinker, I hope this whirlwind tour expands your horizons and encourages you to dive deeper into the topics that speak to you. Buckle up, 50 philosophies in 1 hour. Let's begin. Pre-Socratic thought. Our first stop, the pre-Socratics of ancient Greece. Thinkers like Thales, Anaximander, and Heraclitus asked questions about the fundamental nature of reality. Thales famously said everything is made of water, while Heraclitus believed all is in flux. No man ever steps in the same river twice. Socrates. Their bold attempts to explain the world without invoking myth paved the way for systematic inquiry. Though many of their ideas might seem simplistic now, they represent the birth of Western philosophy, an effort to use reason rather than myth to understand existence. Socrates, the gadfly of Athens, shifted philosophy's focus from the cosmos to human conduct. Known for the Socratic method, asking probing questions, he believed the unexamined life is not worth living. He left no writings. His student Plato recorded his dialogues. Socrates championed moral introspection, insisting we pursue virtue above wealth or power. His legacy lies in critical thinking and self-inquiry. Condemned to death for corrupting the youth, he died for his principles, embodying the philosophical life to its end. Plato. Plato was Socrates' star pupil. In his works like The Republic, he introduced the theory of forms, suggesting that beyond our flawed physical world lies a realm of perfect, unchanging ideas. He believed knowledge is a process of recalling these eternal forms. Plato also explored justice, governance, and the nature of the soul. His ideal state was ruled by philosopher kings, individuals trained in wisdom rather than driven by wealth or ambition. His academy in Athens became the first institution of higher learning in the West, shaping philosophy for centuries. Aristotle. Student of Plato, tutor to Alexander the Great, Aristotle is often called the father of Western philosophy. He categorized knowledge into fields like logic, ethics, biology, and metaphysics. Aristotle believed virtue is found in the golden mean, the balanced midpoint between extremes. Courage lies between cowardice and recklessness, for instance. He emphasized empirical observation, laying groundwork for scientific thought. Aristotle's systematic approach influenced everything from medieval scholasticism to modern science, making him one of history's most pivotal thinkers. Cynicism, founded by Antisthenes and made famous by Diogenes, cynicism advocates living in accordance with nature, free from societal conventions and material desires. Diogenes famously lived in a barrel, owned almost nothing, and challenged social norms with his biting wit. Cynics believe true happiness is found in self-sufficiency and virtue, not in wealth or status. By rejecting societal expectations, they aim to unmask hypocrisy and live authentically. Though extreme in practice, cynicism's influence can be seen in later philosophies that emphasize simplicity and personal freedom. Epicureanism, founded by Zeno of Citium, Stoicism focuses on virtue, reason, and self-control. Stoics accept what they can't change, external events, and concentrate on what they can, their own attitudes and actions. Famous Stoics include Seneca, Epictetus, and the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, whose meditations reflect on duty and inner peace. The Stoic mantra is to live in harmony with nature and remain undisturbed by external chaos. In today's hectic world, Stoicism's emphasis on resilience and emotional control remains profoundly relevant. Skepticism. Pyrrho and later Sextus Empiricus championed skepticism, questioning whether certain knowledge is possible. Skeptics advised withholding judgment to achieve ataraxia, a calm mind free from dogmatic certainty. By constantly questioning appearances and beliefs, skeptics sought tranquility in uncertainty. Their ideas challenged philosophers who claimed absolute truths, influencing scientific inquiry by promoting continuous testing and doubt. In an age of information overload, skepticism's reminder to question assumptions remains a valuable lesson. Confucianism. In ancient China, Confucius taught a philosophy centered on ethical conduct, social harmony, and filial piety, respect for family and ancestors. Confucianism stresses virtues like ren, benevolence, and li, proper conduct. Good governance, according to Confucius, arises from virtuous leaders who serve as moral examples. Emphasis on ritual, respect, and learning shaped Chinese society for millennia. Even today, Confucian values influence East Asian cultures, highlighting the importance of relationships and social responsibility. Taoism, attributed to Lao Tzu, Taoism or Taoism, teaches harmony with the Tao, the natural, ineffable way of the universe. The central text, the Tao Te Ching, emphasizes Wu Wei, effortless action, humility, and simplicity. Taoists advocate letting go of rigid structures and flowing with life's currents. They see nature as a guide to balanced living. Where Confucianism focuses on social order, Taoism offers a more mystical, individual path. This blend of spiritual insight and practical wisdom continues to inspire those seeking serenity in a chaotic world. Legalism, another Chinese philosophy, legalism, took a starkly different approach. It held that people are naturally selfish and need strict laws with harsh punishments to maintain order. Legalist thinkers like Han Feizi believe strong governance depends on a powerful state apparatus, not moral virtue. This philosophy influenced China's Qin dynasty, unifying the country, but also leading to authoritarian measures like book burnings. While it successfully centralized power, legalism is often criticized for its ruthless suppression of individual freedom. Buddhism, founded by Siddhartha Gautama, Buddhism centers on the Four Noble Truths. Life is suffering, suffering arises from desire, ending desire ends suffering, and the Eightfold Path leads to liberation. Buddhism isn't just a religion, it's a philosophy of mind that emphasizes impermanence, compassion, and mindfulness. By recognizing the transient nature of all things, we learn to let go of attachment. Practices like meditation foster insight, calm, and compassion. Buddhism's influence stretches across Asia and increasingly resonates with Western seekers looking for inner peace. Hindu philosophy. Hindu philosophy is vast, encompassing Vedanta, Samkhya, yoga, and more. Central concepts include Brahman, the ultimate reality, Atman, the soul, and karma, action and consequence. The Upanishads explore the unity of Atman and Brahman, while yoga traditions outline a path of discipline, physical, mental, and spiritual, to achieve liberation, moksha. This tapestry of ideas focuses on self-realization, the cyclical nature of existence, samsara, and transcending illusion, maya. Hindu thought's diversity has shaped South Asian spirituality for thousands of years. Jain philosophy. Jainism teaches ahimsa, nonviolence, as its core principle. Founded by Mahavira, it emphasizes strict ethics, truthfulness, and self-control. Jains believe in the eternal soul and aim to free it from karmic bondage through ascetic practices and compassion for all living beings. With a focus on minimal harm, Jains often adopt vegetarian or vegan diets and rigorous ethical codes. This radical commitment to nonviolence offers a unique perspective on how moral discipline can lead to spiritual liberation. Zoroastrianism. Originating in ancient Persia, Zoroastrianism was founded by the prophet Zarathustra, Zoroaster. It posits a cosmic struggle between Ahura Mazda, good, and Angra Mainyu, evil. Humans must choose righteousness, Asha, to aid Ahura Mazda. Zoroastrianism influenced later Abrahamic religions with concepts like heaven, hell, and final judgment. Its ethical emphasis on good thoughts, good words, good deeds highlights personal responsibility in a moral universe. Though now a minority faith, it remains a historically significant and philosophically rich tradition. Early Christian philosophy. As Christianity spread, thinkers like Augustine of Hippo fused Greco-Roman philosophy with Christian theology. Augustine's Confessions and City of God explored sin, grace, and free will. He argued that true happiness is found in God, not worldly pleasures. His work laid foundations for medieval scholasticism, influencing Western thought for centuries. Early Christian philosophy wrestled with the nature of the divine, the problem of evil, and how faith and reason could coexist, questions that remain central to religious philosophy today. Islamic philosophy. In the Islamic Golden Age, scholars like Al-Farabi, Avicenna, Ibn Sina, and Averroes Ibn Rushd advanced philosophy, science, and medicine. They integrated Aristotle's works into Islamic thought, focusing on metaphysics, ethics, and logic. Avicenna's floating man thought experiment explored self-awareness and the soul, while Averroes championed reason in understanding divine revelation. Their translations and commentaries reintroduced Greek philosophy to medieval Europe, sparking a renaissance of learning. Islamic philosophy thus served as a crucial bridge between ancient wisdom and modern Western thought. Jewish philosophy. Jewish philosophy has deep roots in rabbinic traditions, exploring the relationship between God, law, and morality. Medieval thinkers like Maimonides integrated Aristotle's logic with biblical teachings, emphasizing reason in understanding the divine. Maimonides' Guide for the Perplexed tackled issues of faith, science, and ethics, influencing not only Jewish thought but also Christian and Islamic scholars. Jewish philosophy continues to evolve, blending ancient texts with contemporary questions about ethics, identity, and social justice. Scholasticism. In medieval Europe, scholasticism dominated. Thinkers like Thomas Aquinas used Aristotelian logic to reconcile Christian theology with rational inquiry. Their method involved rigorous debate and systematic reasoning, culminating in massive works like Aquinas' Summa Theologica. Scholasticism aimed to harmonize faith and reason, shaping the intellectual landscape of the Middle Ages. While later criticized for overcomplicating simple truths, scholasticism laid groundwork for Western academia, developing techniques of analysis still used in philosophy and theology. Renaissance humanism. The Renaissance sparked a revival of classical texts and a shift in focus from divine to human potential. Humanism emphasized the dignity, worth, and agency of individuals. Thinkers like Pico della Mirandola championed human freedom and the capacity for self-transformation. By studying ancient Greek and Roman works, humanists reinvigorated arts and sciences. This intellectual movement laid the cultural foundation for the modern era, valuing critical thinking, secular education, and the pursuit of human excellence. Rationalism. In the 17th century, rationalists like René Descartes, Baruch Spinoza, and Gottfried Leibniz argued that reason is the primary source of knowledge. Descartes' famous "I think, therefore I am" epitomizes the quest for certainty through thought alone. They believed in innate ideas and mathematical reasoning to understand reality. Rationalism sparked debates on the nature of mind, substance, and God, influencing everything from Enlightenment politics to modern conceptions of consciousness. Empiricism. Empiricists like John Locke, George Berkeley, and David Hume countered rationalism by insisting that all knowledge derives from sense experience. Locke proposed the mind as a blank slate, tabula rasa, filled through perception. Berkeley argued that existence is tied to being perceived, while Hume questioned causality and the self's continuity. Empiricism laid the groundwork for the scientific method, emphasizing observation and experimentation over pure reason. Enlightenment philosophy. The Enlightenment championed reason, liberty, and progress. Philosophers like Voltaire, Rousseau, and Montesquieu challenged traditional authority, advocating religious tolerance, social contracts, and separation of powers. This era saw the rise of Immanuel Kant, who famously declared, "Sapere aude," dare to know. Kant merged rationalism and empiricism, arguing that while knowledge begins with experience, our mind imposes structures like space and time. The Enlightenment shaped modern democratic ideals and spurred revolutions in America and France. Romanticism. A reaction against the Enlightenment's focus on reason, Romanticism celebrated emotion, imagination, and nature's power. Thinkers and poets like Wordsworth, Coleridge, and Shelley saw beauty and intuition as vital to understanding life. Romantic philosophy emphasized individuality, creativity, and the sublime. It questioned industrialization and rationalism's limits, influencing the arts and shaping movements that value personal expression over strict logic. Transcendentalism. An American offshoot of Romanticism, Transcendentalism emerged in the 19th century with Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau. They believed in the inherent goodness of people and nature, emphasizing self-reliance and individual intuition as pathways to truth. Emerson's essays and Thoreau's Walden advocate simplicity, spiritual insight, and civil disobedience against unjust laws. Transcendentalism influenced American culture deeply, inspiring movements for social reform and environmentalism. Utilitarianism. Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill developed utilitarianism, which holds that the best action maximizes happiness for the greatest number of people. Bentham used a hedonic calculus to measure pleasure and pain, while Mill refined the theory, distinguishing higher and lower pleasures. Utilitarianism has shaped moral and political thought, influencing debates on law, economics, and public policy. Critics argue it can overlook individual rights, but its emphasis on collective well-being remains a powerful ethical framework. Existentialism. Existentialism emerged in the 19th and 20th centuries through thinkers like Søren Kierkegaard, Friedrich Nietzsche, Jean-Paul Sartre, and Simone de Beauvoir. They focused on individual freedom, responsibility, and the inherent meaninglessness of the universe. Kierkegaard emphasized faith and personal choice. Nietzsche proclaimed the death of God and the will to power, while Sartre declared we're condemned to be free. Existentialism forces us to confront anxiety, authenticity, and the challenge of creating meaning in an indifferent world. Nihilism. Nihilism posits that life has no inherent meaning or value. Nietzsche often discussed nihilism as a cultural condition following the collapse of religious and moral certainties. For nihilists, concepts like truth, morality, or purpose are illusions. This viewpoint can lead to despair or liberation. Some see nihilism as a call to create personal meaning, while others view it as a dangerous path to apathy. It remains a provocative stance that challenges traditional beliefs about life's significance. Pragmatism. An American philosophy championed by Charles Peirce, William James, and John Dewey. Pragmatism measures truth by its practical consequences. Rather than seeking absolute certainty, pragmatists focus on what ideas do in real-life situations. William James argued that beliefs are tools for navigating experience, not static truths. Dewey applied pragmatism to education, advocating learning through experience and experimentation. Pragmatism continues to influence fields like psychology, public policy, and everyday problem-solving. Marxism. Developed by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, Marxism critiques capitalism and envisions a classless society. Marx saw history as a struggle between economic classes, predicting the proletariat, workers, would overthrow the bourgeoisie, capitalists. Marxism influenced revolutions worldwide, shaping the Soviet Union and other socialist states. Its philosophical core is dialectical materialism, viewing social change as driven by material conditions. Critics argue Marxism can lead to authoritarian regimes, but it remains a major force in political and economic theory. Psychoanalysis. Sigmund Freud revolutionized our understanding of the mind, proposing that unconscious drives, often sexual or aggressive, shape behavior. Through dream analysis and free association, Freud uncovered hidden conflicts influencing neuroses. Though some ideas are disputed, psychoanalysis opened new avenues for exploring personality, childhood development, and therapy. Later thinkers like Carl Jung and Jacques Lacan expanded or challenged Freud's views, weaving psychoanalysis into broader philosophical and cultural discussions about self and society. Phenomenology. Edmund Husserl founded phenomenology, focusing on how things appear to consciousness. Rather than asking about external reality, phenomenologists examine our direct experiences, aiming to bracket assumptions. Martin Heidegger expanded this into existential concerns, exploring being in the world and authenticity. Phenomenology influenced existentialism, hermeneutics, and postmodern thought, reminding us that subjective experience is central to understanding consciousness and reality. Structuralism. Emerging in the mid-20th century, structuralism examines underlying structures in language, culture, and society. Thinkers like Ferdinand de Saussure analyzed language as a system of signs, while Claude Lévi-Strauss studied myths and kinship patterns. Structuralists seek the hidden rules that shape human behavior, viewing individual elements as part of a larger system. Though later challenged by post-structuralism, structuralism profoundly impacted linguistics, anthropology, and literary theory, revealing the deep patterns in human culture. Post-structuralism. In response to structuralism's emphasis on stable structures, post-structuralists like Michel Foucault, Jacques Derrida, and Gilles Deleuze argued that meaning is fluid, power-laden, and constantly renegotiated. Derrida's deconstruction questioned binary oppositions in texts, while Foucault examined how power shapes knowledge and societal norms. Post-structuralism highlights the instability of language and identity, influencing literary criticism, cultural studies, and debates about truth and objectivity. Logical positivism, also known as logical empiricism, logical positivism emerged in the early 20th century with the Vienna Circle. It held that meaningful statements are either analytically true or empirically verifiable. They dismissed metaphysical or ethical claims as non-verifiable. Although logical positivism waned in influence, it helped formalize the philosophy of science, clarifying how we test hypotheses and structure logical arguments. Analytical philosophy. Rooted in the English-speaking world, analytical philosophy prioritizes clarity, logical rigor, and language analysis. Thinkers like Bertrand Russell and Ludwig Wittgenstein shaped its methods. Wittgenstein's later work suggested that language's meaning emerges from its use, not an underlying essence. Analytical philosophy influences contemporary debates in mind, language, ethics, and metaphysics, emphasizing precision in argument and the dissection of conceptual problems. Critical theory? Associated with the Frankfurt School, critical theory examines culture, politics, and society through a Marxist lens, critiquing ideologies that perpetuate domination. Max Horkheimer, Theodor Adorno, and later Jürgen Habermas analyzed mass culture, rationality, and communication. Critical theorists aim to expose and challenge power structures, advocating social change and emancipation. Their ideas have influenced sociology, political science, and contemporary social movements by highlighting the interplay of culture, economy, and power. Feminist philosophy. Feminist philosophy critiques traditional theories for marginalizing women's experiences. Thinkers like Simone de Beauvoir, one is not born but rather becomes a woman, and bell hooks examine how gender, race, and class intersect. Feminist philosophers address issues of identity, power, and social justice, challenging patriarchal assumptions in ethics, politics, and epistemology. Their work reshapes debates on equality, body autonomy, and the nature of oppression, emphasizing inclusivity and lived experience. Postmodernism. Postmodernism questions grand narratives and objective truths, suggesting that knowledge is culturally constructed. Thinkers like Jean-François Lyotard and Jean Baudrillard discuss the fragmentation of reality, hyperreality, and the instability of meaning. Postmodernism challenges Enlightenment ideals of progress and certainty, influencing art, architecture, and critical theory. Critics argue it can lead to relativism, but it has undeniably reshaped intellectual landscapes by urging skepticism toward universal claims. Environmental philosophy. Environmental philosophy explores human relationships with nature, addressing ethics, conservation, and sustainability. Aldo Leopold's land ethic proposed that humans are part of an ecological community, not separate from it. Deep ecology, ecofeminism, and animal rights philosophies extend moral consideration to non-human life. As climate change intensifies, environmental philosophy becomes increasingly urgent, shaping discussions about stewardship, responsibility, and interdependence with the planet. African philosophy. African philosophy encompasses diverse traditions from Ubuntu in southern Africa, emphasizing community and mutual care, to ancient Ethiopian and Egyptian thought. Philosophers like Kwasi Wiredu advocate for conceptual decolonization, applying African languages and frameworks to philosophical problems. This field addresses issues of identity, communal values, and post-colonial realities. African philosophy broadens the global conversation, reminding us that wisdom and critical inquiry exist in many cultural forms, modern Confucian and Taoist revivals. In contemporary China and beyond, new Confucian and Neo-Taoist thinkers adapt ancient teachings to modern challenges. They explore how harmony, virtue, and balance can inform technology, governance, and environmental policies. This revival recognizes the enduring relevance of classical ideas in addressing 21st century issues, from ethical leadership to sustainable living. It's a reminder that ancient wisdom often finds fresh life in modern contexts. Neo-Stoicism. A modern adaptation of classical Stoicism, Neo-Stoicism applies ancient principles to contemporary life. Popularized by authors like Ryan Holiday, it emphasizes practical techniques for self-mastery, emotional resilience, and focus on what we can control. With mental health and productivity challenges on the rise, Neo-Stoicism's straightforward approach to adversity resonates with many seeking calm in a turbulent world. It's proof that 2,000-year-old wisdom can still offer guidance today. Existential therapy. Inspired by existentialism, existential therapy addresses psychological issues by focusing on freedom, responsibility, and the search for meaning. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, developed logotherapy, asserting that finding purpose is crucial to mental well-being. Existential therapy helps clients confront isolation, anxiety, and mortality, guiding them to live authentically despite life's uncertainties. This philosophical approach to counseling underscores how big questions about existence can shape mental health. Technophilosophy. As technology advances, technophilosophy examines the ethical, social, and existential implications of AI, biotech, and transhumanism. Thinkers like Ray Kurzweil discuss the singularity, a point where AI surpasses human intelligence, potentially redefining humanity. Questions arise: should we enhance our bodies and minds through technology? How do we retain autonomy in a world of data-driven algorithms? Technophilosophy grapples with the future of consciousness, identity, and ethics in a rapidly evolving landscape. Critical race theory. Critical race theory, CRT, analyzes how race and racism intersect with law, society, and power structures. Influenced by legal scholars like Derek Bell and Kimberlé Crenshaw, CRT challenges the notion of colorblindness, highlighting systemic inequalities. It emphasizes lived experiences of marginalized groups, seeking to reveal and transform social, cultural, and legal norms that perpetuate discrimination. While often controversial, CRT has spurred significant dialogue on equality, justice, and policy reform. Positive psychology. Though not strictly philosophy, positive psychology, pioneered by Martin Seligman and Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, focuses on well-being, flow, and human flourishing. It asks how individuals can cultivate strengths and virtues for a more fulfilling life. Positive psychology resonates with ancient ideas about eudaimonia, Aristotle's concept of flourishing, but employs scientific methods to study happiness, resilience, and gratitude. Its findings shape everything from therapy to workplace culture, bridging empirical research with philosophical inquiries into the good life. Minimalism. Minimalism is a modern lifestyle philosophy advocating simplicity, intentional living, and reduced consumerism. By focusing on what truly matters, relationships, passions, well-being, minimalists aim to escape the clutter of material excess. Inspired by Zen Buddhism, Stoicism, and Transcendentalism, minimalism challenges the notion that more stuff equals more happiness. Its popularity in an age of consumer culture shows a longing for clarity, authenticity, and freedom from endless acquisition. Modern Stoic revival. Closely related to Neo-Stoicism, the modern Stoic revival has gained traction through online communities and events like Stoicon. Practitioners share Stoic exercises for daily resilience, gratitude, and emotional balance. Modern Stoics adapt ancient texts, like Epictetus's Handbook, to tackle issues like stress, career challenges, and personal relationships. By emphasizing personal ethics and self-improvement, they continue to expand Stoicism's relevance in our digital, fast-paced world. Ongoing dialogue. Our 50th philosophy isn't a single school, but the ever-evolving conversation that is philosophy itself. Each era brings new perspectives, debates, and syntheses, whether it's about consciousness, identity, social justice, or artificial intelligence. Philosophy is not a static field. It's an ongoing dialogue across centuries and cultures. The moment we think we have the final answer, new questions arise. This continuous process of inquiry keeps philosophy alive and vital, reminding us that understanding is a journey, not a destination. Congratulations, you've just traveled through 50 philosophies in under an hour. From ancient Greece and China to modern debates on technology and identity, we've seen how different thinkers tackle life's biggest questions. Maybe you found an idea that resonated deeply or discovered a viewpoint that challenged your assumptions. Philosophy invites us to question, reflect, and grow. Whether you dive into Stoicism, existentialism, or African philosophy next, remember that each school of thought is a stepping stone to greater insight. Thank you for joining this whirlwind tour of human thought. Feel free to revisit any segment that piqued your interest and explore it further. After all, philosophy isn't just about answers, it's about the endless curiosity that propels us forward. Until next time, keep questioning and keep seeking wisdom.